Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. If you are watching this now, this is actually a recording of my class this afternoon because I won't be able to have a synchronous class with you due to the reason that I have to attend an important meeting with Shed with regards to the BS Tourism um, department, no, for their face-to-face class. So instead, I will just have a recording of my session this morning. Last time we weren't able to have a class as well. I think because we had a deliberation, no, for the first semester. So we will have our class on Unit 2, Lesson 2, which is research title. This is actually in continuation to Unit 2, Lesson 1, which is designing a research topic. So actually, you already had a first-hand experience on making a research title. It is because not only that it was present, no, during your examination, but also, no, in the PowerPoint, in your previous activities as well. No, ang pinakauna dyan akong gipangayo sa inyo ha, which is advancement ano compared to the PowerPoint. Medyo advancement ta kay giuna nako ang right shop, no. We had already an experience in writing our own research title. In fact, no, we had already a right shop with regards to that, no. So this one is just an additional information. We're following the flow of the PowerPoints arranged in Quipper. So, expected dyan na class nga delayed ang lesson sa Quipper nya advance ang ako ang right shop. Sorry. Advance ako ang right shop. It is because we are moving at a quicker pace. I was actually expecting that we are going to finish chapter 2 by this semester, but sadly no, there were a lot of circumstances that we weren't able to have our first. No, we had exams, you had petas as well. I don't want to pressure you on that. We had holidays, activities, no, so that's why we weren't able to be in like a fast pace, no. If you compare it to the college department wherein we were able to move quickly because we had to meet like twice a week, and we didn't have PowerPoints such as like this one. No, we just had purely write shops lang. And hopefully in the second semester we will not have examinations month, purely research writing ra jud siya. So that we can focus not only on the PowerPoint anymore, but on the ano na, on the research writing ra jud, no. I remember last year grade 12 had to work double time because in the first semester in practical research 2 they had to answer modules at the same time write the research paper, no. That was really quite handful. So yun ha, medyo gilasan lang, no, kay pwede pong matamaan. Okay, so let us go with our presentation. I do hope a lot of students will actually watch this, no. I'm keeping track of the number of students and also the names of the students who will view this. I think there will be no excuse naman anymore to be absent because anyone can watch videos in YouTube, no. It's just your drive and your will to actually attend classes. If you have probably received your cards, there are some of you that does not have any grades yet because incomplete, did not attend. I don't know, di man mandatory ang classes, but of course, there are some activities there nga ko ang gi-announce and you weren't able to meet that because you were absent. So, I do hope that you will become mature in the second semester and fulfill, no, kana siya kay you haven't received anything pa as of lately from the TVL. Okay. Again ha, we will not pass you once you are not able to submit your entire chapter 1 in your research paper this semester. So, I will just have to leave it blank. No, anyway, um, wa mo koy mahimo, no? One of the outputs of research is to really present a research paper. You can't force me to pass you if you do not have any outputs at all. That would be unfair to the others who have diligently from day one submitted a lot of outputs to me, no? And was also in the verge of finishing chapter 1. So if wala chapter 1, then so sorry, no? Either you retake the subject, di mo ko madalaghang yu nga pasara na lang, no? The only way nga makapasar jud mo is you really submit an output to me. That's the only way. Okay? So I am treating everyone fairly. I'm teaching everyone the same amount of knowledge. It's really up to you to do your part. So that's just some few reminders on my part, no. Mahangyo ko in terms of ma'am, pwede pa nako ma-submit not later than December 24. Sure, no, basta complete chapter 1. What I do know is dili ko mahangyo kung ingon na mga ma'am pasara lang mi ma'am. Dili jud na siya pwede mahimo if wala. And dili ra pud ko mo doubt og output nga dili niyo i-correct. Kay how can you progress if your paper is not corrected? So need jud siya nga once uli na ko balik inyong paper sa inyo ha, you have to apply the corrections. What frustrates me is that up until now, I haven't seen any TVL students. No, there are TVL students that are attending my class, but well, jud ka lahutay always sila that would be your problem naman pod, not mine. So, more na siya. I will be here for those who are willing to listen, just like the ABM students. So let us proceed. So Unit 2 is developing a research problem or writing a research title. No? So under man na sa Unit 2 nga discussion. Okay, so I would like to ask you, I know this is a recording, but I will like pause for a few minutes for you to think. You can just answer, no, in your screen while you're watching this. Although this is a recorded video already, no, but I would like you to answer on your own. Like you try to think. I'll give you a few minutes to think, to really reflect. No, what is the importance of a well-written research title? We already established this one when we had the what do you call this research topic. What I want you to think is what is the importance of a research title, no? A very good research title. They have similar importance sa pagpili og research topic from different resources. Pero sa inyo lang, unsa man ang what is the importance of having a working title, no? A good, well-written title. Because this is one of the vital parts of a research paper. Okay, I'll give you a few minutes to think. So sorry, I had to move from I really had to recheck. No? I don't want to keep talking and then wala din na record or naka-mute di ay ang mic. Okay, based on your previous experience, no, what is the importance of a well-written research title? Okay, so it seems that you already have your answer or basin wala pa may nasulti, no, pero um for those who have answered, no, in their own like in their own rooms lang ro, no, while watching this, no, thank you for answering. So of course, no, the importance of a well-written research title is that it provides a summary, no, it encapsulates the content of your research paper. And what is important about a well-written research title is that from the very first moment pa lang nga your reader, or let's say no another researcher will read your research title, they will automatically know what your study is all about, no, because it's there. They easily identify where is your study located, because locality is really important, no, as well as what are your variables that you're going to measure or evaluate or observe, no, depending on what kind of research design, no, or type of research. Pero mabalaan na natanan just from the very moment that they read your title. And that's how important it is. I think it's not just limited to research, no. It can also be applied class to even different books. Like for example, no, if you are a bookworm or if you like to read, usually when you go to national bookstore or to any like to book sale, no, usually what you read is the title, 'di ba? If I feel like the title is enticing or it catches my attention, I'll go immediately to its summary, or like for example, no, um I'll go immediately to the back of the book and read what it's all about, no, because from the title itself, no, it could give me an idea like what the content of the book is. But not only that, no, a lot of things, even articles, no, when you read something, it gives you automatically an idea of what it is because of the title. And that's how important it is, class, labi na sa research. Everything must be there, your variables, your respondents, no, the locality of your research. I remember when I presented my paper, no, uh originally it was far different from my final title, class, but of course, no, because they had to improve it per oral defense, because it's vital, no, kinahanglan man jud siya i-check all the time, no, para to make sure that by the end of the final defense, my title would be like perfect. Okay, so my title was like wala man siya gi-revise always, no, marag na siya punan kuan niya na ay times ka i-enhance pa jud siya further para mas nindot pa jud siya, pero ang main idea was not like totally changed, no, because again, no, my objective was to really identify or to really determine if San Carlos has a potential to become like an events destination, just like Iloilo City. So in my title I presented there the potential of San Carlos City as a MICE tourism destination. I did not provide like in terms of the five A's. Before I provided that, no, in terms of the five A's of tourism, which is okay. Kaya naman dira ang variables. So, ang variables ako is of course the five A's of tourism, like one of my variables. Sadly, they had to remove it because in graduate school we're only limited to 12 words. Pero if 20 words pa to makapasok pa to sa banga, no. So they had to shorten it to the potential of San Carlos City as a MICE destination. Now they had to improve it at the end. They had to provide San Carlos City Negros Occidental because again, no, it's really important to specify asa jud siya naka-study, asa jud siya nakakuano, asa ang locality sa study. Like sa dili siya sa Negros Occidental kay nga naman duha bang kabuk San Carlos City no naman sa Pangasinan. So that's how meticulous titles are, no, nga mabalaan nimo what the study is all about. The variables are there, um even the locality of your research or respondents, no, because again it helps your reader identify unsay mong study, um unsay mong objectives, kinsay mong variables. So pabalik-balik ra ako kasi sulti ani, no, pero that's how important it is. So, our learning objectives for this afternoon is you will be able to identify the characteristics of a well-written research title and construct a research title. Actually, you know already this one. No? It's in our finals exam already. Um, late lang jud si Quipper, no. Delayed ang Quipper always. So, but um, going back, there are steps on how to do this, just like looking for research topics. There are general steps. There are also different characteristics, no, when we establish a well-written research title, because your title can again, no, not just your statement of the problem, because the bottom line, class, even if we say that the statement of the problem um provides or gives like a guideline or ato ibutang no kanang is what drives your research paper. You cannot establish your statement of the problem if you don't have a title in the first place, no? Ang title dyan ang pinakauna nga imong huna-hunaon once you plan to write a research paper. So, siya dyan na, no? The statement of the problem, everything in the paper helps sets the course in your study, but it's your title that truly determines where to start, no? Unsa dyan imong study is all about. So, dira dyan na magsugod, no? Okay, I would like you to look at this um shelf no, of books, and some are very worn out na no. Fun fact before we proceed, books are required to have um a required temperature for it to be preserved. Like curators, when they preserve, old or ancient books or scrolls, they usually keep it at a certain temperature so that it will not crumble. No, paper is really quite delicate, labi na if magkadugay na, because it's made of like wood, no? Ang uban are made of like, I believe parchment is made from, me just kan ko pasin ma kuan na po ko, masayop ko. Let me just search it first. I don't want to commit a mistake. Okay, there's some parchment paper that's made from animal skin, but it deteriorates, diba? It has been made from calf, goat, or sheep skin, no? Um, Others are made from cellulose, no? So, daghan, no? Naiuban nga vegetarian nga parchment paper. So, there are different kind of papers kasi are made from different materials, and these are very organic and malanay ra siya, no? So, they are required to be stored in a temperature, no? Or a specific temperature. Um, and also, ang uban, ginaano siya, what's the right word? No, kanang, nasa kong huna-huna, pero dili na ko malitok. Ang ako ang super misona is i-remodel, pero it's not a remodel. Kanang, i, kuan gyud siya balik class. I-restore mo, din na siya ang correct word. I-restore siya balik, labi na kanang ilisan ang hardcover niya, kay tungod sa kadaan. Okay. So going back, no, you see this shelf full of books. Some are very old books, no, and these are not kept really properly because kuan lang siya, accumulate na siya og kanang dust. So let's try to identify some of the titles in these books, no. This one, the title is Texas State Travel Guide. This one is the Travel Comparative Atlas. This one is the Columbia Viking Dust Encyclopedia. The others are not kuan naman, no, what you call it, legible. Dili na siya mabasa. Legible bang saktong nga word? Dili na siya mabasa. Okay. So next is the New York Times Everyday Reader's Dictionary of Misunderstood, Misused, and Mispronounced Words. So that's a very ano, um interesting kind of book. So what do you think um is the content of these books? Do you think the title is related to the story that is inside these books? Like for example, you have Texas State Travel Guide. Ang kaning title ba sa book is related ba sa story that is inside this book? Or how about this one, no? Misunderstood, misused, and mispronounced words. Do you think that the content of this book has these words, no, this misused, misunderstood words inside aning nga libro because that is what is stated in the title? Do you think nga related ang unod sa libro sa title niya? Okay, so since this is a recording and I can't receive your immediate feedback, if you have the answer, you can just, um, not shout, but speak to your screen if you know the answer. Okay, so if you will answer that the title is related to the story, then how do you think the story and the title is related? I'll give it a few moments to think. If you know the answer, you can just speak to your phone, although I can't receive immediate feedback. And this is not an interactive session anymore because it's recorded, but you can still answer class. And we will try to find out if your answer is quite similar to mine. I'll give you a few moments to think. Okay, so you think that the story and the title is related. It is because, of course, they would not write a book, no, that is misleading. That is correct, no, and others would answer siguro nga, of course, ma'am, since it's in the title, mo po na siya ang unod nga expected jud siya, no, kay they would not come up with a title if the content is different, 'di ba? So, mo po na, no, and usually others, no, lahi man gud ang process in writing novels or books class, no. When they write books, they start with the content first before they come up with a very good title. Others would do that, no. Ang uban, they would think of a title first and then they would go immediately into writing the content. The title will guide them, no, into writing the content of that book. So either way, no, if ever you have answered or not, no, the story and the title is related because one, um it would be the right thing or the sensible thing to do if what you are writing, ang yang title is related to that, or usually sa title ka mo base kung unsa imong isulat. Okay? So, your research title is concisely summarizes the content of your study. It summarizes, it encapsulates what is inside your study. It is important to ensure that it differentiates the study from other existing research. If you can remember, no, I have also mentioned to you the gap in the literature. The gap in the literature is also vital in your introduction. Why? Because it is your claim that your research topic, the study that you would like to pursue, is far different from the different research papers you have read before. And also, in the gap of the literature, more emotion key identify nga there is really a gap, no, nga kani imong study has been unexplored pa, meaning unique imong study, one of its kind, because you already is determined that there is a gap in the literature na ay pagkukulang pa, na pay areas nga unexplored, na pay areas nga unanswered. Therefore, imong study is one of its kind, it's unique, and your study will fill in that gap. Okay. But you can never truly say there is a gap if you feel that there are a lot of research papers already published na nga that is that talks about your topic. No? Like for example, if you talk about parental involvement, no, and its effects on online distance learning and nakapublish na diri sa San Carlos City, yeah, you're going to study the same thing and in the same city as well. No, there is no gap anymore because it has already been explored by other researchers, no, before you. So ikaw iguro ka murag balik-balik, no, magibalik ka nimo ang yang study, di ba? So it is really important that you have a good working title that encapsulates summarizes the entire content of your research paper, and at the same time it is different from other existing research. Now there is really a gap in the study. Let's now proceed to the different characteristics of a well structured research title. The first one is focus and direct. It should include the variables and the field of inquiry of the study. It provides an idea of the study's contents. So, dili na ta magpaliko-liko, no? I remember there were several of you who submitted like very wordy titles and tuyok ra siya, no? We will get straight to the point. If you're going to study about, let's say, the effects of online distance learning or the level of impact of online distance learning towards the um productivity of the students, then you just go immediately to that, no? Naapa kay ang tubak kag kuan, ang online distance learning mo pwedeng ibutang and digital tools and teachers and kung ano kung tagsa-tagsa pa nimo siya no imo lang i-summarize tanan no imo lang i-generalize. So it should be concise, no? It should be direct, no? And your title should have variables, no? Importante siya na nga from the very beginning base sila mabalaan din nila identify nila these are the variables that is to be studied in the research, no? And then it provides an idea of the study's content. So again, no, katong mga important elements nga kung gi-mention earlier like the variables should be there in your research title. Dapat naa siya kanang respondents, so kinsa man imong studihan 'no, ang mga estudyante ba sa Colegio de Santa Rita, 'di ba? So dapat very specific siya. Okay, and even your objectives must be there, no? Dili man siya to ma word for word tanan ng objectives nimo, pero at least, no, ma-present siya dira, ma-mention siya kanang murag maklaro siya pagbasa pa lang daan sa title nimo. Okay, let's now move on to the next, which is formal. Again, no, we do not submit like in a question form. There is no such thing as titles in question forms, no. Your research title should be in a statement form and it should have a formal tone, just like the content of your research paper. This should not be limited alone into your title class. Mo bitaw na I'm very particular ga once I received no your research introductions. I was not happy with how some of the paragraphs were arranged in the contents because you're not using technical English or it was not written in a formal tone. How will you know it's in a formal tone? Pagbasa pala nimo da, ano, like, pang research paper na jud siya. Dili siya ingon nga, you should be aware of different scammers in San Carlos City. That's not a formal tone, no? Um, one should speak in the third person. One should write in the third person point of view. And if pwede, no, we would use again like technical English, not jargons lang. The jargons are difficult to understand. There are different jargons. Like if you're going to use medical jargons, only those who work in the medical field will understand, diba? But what you meant about formal tone is that anyone can understand it, but it's not talking like in casual English lang or like you're having like a conversation just like this one, no? Like very formal jud siya nga in a way nga you're like speaking to experts, no? And again, if you have trouble or if this may be a challenge to you, again I already presented you with a lot of options, so you can make use of Quillbot, you can make use of Grammarly, and you can just like setting lang nimo ang Grammarly into formal, expert, ang audience, ayang tone is like formal siya, dili informal, intended siya for like academic purposes, o automatically Grammarly will provide you with suggestions, no, that would fit to your needs, no. So naraman dira sa I already taught you that I think last week when we had a write shop in um statement of the problem to definition of terms. No, not last week, but last week, di ay. So it should not contain abbreviations. I remember when um I wrote my paper, I think I abbreviated my sterism and I had to spell it out. No, my sterism is shortcut na abbreviation na siya sa meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions destination, which should be spell out, no. Ako to kay gimice ra nako, and then not everyone can understand mice. If I, of course, no, I am in the tourism industry, if my students can understand what mice is, but you as students, diba, ang una yung huna og mice tourism ilaga, no. When I first heard of it, I was like, mice tourism, no, not familiar, no, pero it talks about meetings, incentives, conventions, and events, no, and have to spell that out. We need to avoid abbreviations. Dito mo butandag CSR, SHS, no, you have to spell out Colegio de Santa Rita de San Carlos Incorporated. Labi na ang Santa, no, nga, perminin nyo ASTA, no, have to really spell out, avoid abbreviations. Or even jargons or colloquial terms, no, kato kung gi-mention kayo itong mga jargons class, like mga medical terms, mga terms ka ang makasabot ra katong naa sa field. What are jargons? So jargons are like specific terms that only like a specific kind of group understand, no? Um, take for example, this word is only, understandable to a specific profession. I'll try to search. Okay. Uh, para sa anang jargon sa mga lawyer like sustain, overrule, withdrawn, rebuttal, prima facie, plea bargain. Unsa kitong usa gani nga kanang crime with murderous intent na ana siya term. Kanang mga yung anak class, those are jargons and those cannot be placed in your research paper, even in your title, na because not everyone can understand. Even though we are using formal English, mag technical English ta nga intended for, kanang kuan siya, no, pang expert nga, no, pero it's anyone can still understand what you're conveying in your research paper because you do not provide difficult words like jargons. Ano pala in jargons? O para sa teacher, no? Sa teacher, we have like scaffolding, think, pair, share, pedagogy, HOTS. As a teacher, we understand what it is, no? But you as students, you can't because you're not part of like the profession. So although you might have heard some of these jargons, but some of them you're not familiar of, no? Labi nang kanang si teacher ra makabalo kay sila ra man ang mag-prepare. So you can't have that in your title. Always avoid jargons. And colloquial terms. What are colloquial terms? No? Slang. Slang words, no? Um especially in like in Filipino or like mga Taglish words and all, no, we don't use that. We don't use colloquial terms, no, unless it is the main focus of the study. Unless sa jud, no, yung tag main focus, siya jud mismo ang variable nga ginastudihan, no, pares anang if you're going to study unsa may mga laing nga terms sa there was one. Okay, like for example, if you're going to study about medicine, no, need jud nimo ang kanang kuan, mga scientific terms or jargon words, pwede siya as long as the center. Siya jud ang sentro, siya jud ang ginastudihan. Pero if it's only a part of the study, dili siya ang main focus, then you don't need to put that colloquial term, no. I-replace siya with a different one nga mas masabtan or common name niya, mo na siya. Next is brief but substantial. Usually composed of 16 essential words, no. 16 ang ginahatag, no, sa graduate school we're only limited to 12. Before in the old format you are limited until 20. I remember back in 2015 we are allowed until 20 words, no, but maybe I guess there's been kuan na, no, changes in the format. So muna 12 to 15, no, dili gani kay 16 words, no. So you have to do nitpicking. You have to really pick out show thing the reach title critical thinking, no. You have these parts, no, na kay respondents, na kay variables, na kay objective, but putting them together in just 16 words is where critical thinking comes in. And kinahanglan nga mo design ka research title class nga pagbasa nimo it makes sense. Like kasabot jud dayon ka what your study is all about. Dili siya ingon nga you're putting together random words just for the sake of it para nila ka submit. Like when you read the title, it makes sense and it already has the complete content in it. No, the reader can understand what your objective is. The reader will easily identify what are your variables in the study, and they can easily identify who are your respondents and its locality. It consists of the most important information about the study. Again, no, dapat tanan importante nga part masulod dito, but the trick is you have to compress that into 16 words only. It may be difficult at first. I understand, no. Me, I had a really hard time constructing research title even as a teacher when I first started, no. I really had a hard time constructing research titles because it's hard, no. Sayo na siya i-put together, but making sure that it's coherent and it's easy to understand is the challenging part, no? And dapat kompleto tanan, no? We had the first hand experience of that when during our recent exam. Okay, next is a research title should be able to summarize the study in the fewest possible words. Why do we require that you're only going to summarize everything in the fewest possible words? If you have a very lengthy title class, it would be too wordy. Lisod siya basahon din siya class, no? Libog na siya, no? Itong iubutang, maglibog ka. Kaya nga naman, taas sa kataas sa mong title, lost in translation, ma-lost na ka in thought, unsa ganito? Like sa kay libog kaayo, no? I remember katong taas yung kayo nga title niya. Taas kayo, tungod sa ubos. Di nimo makuan dayon, no? Di nimo ma-summarize dayon ba nga, unsa ganito yahang kuan study, libog koy kataas kayang title, no? So, confusing na noong kaayo siya. Okay? Okay. Next is it's clear. Again, not only nga, mabita siya short but concise. No? Keep it short, simple, and concise. Moro na siya ang title class. So, pa nakanubo imong title class. But again, if it encapsulates, if it summarizes everything that is in your research, then that is okay. You don't need to have like what we call slang word ni siya palabok, no? Kaya ang palabok daghang mga ricados ng dili siya kinahanglan nga pareha sa palabok nga daghan kay ricados and all, but there's no substance in it and dili coherent, no? So keep it clear, short, simple, concise, no? And you're good to go. So this benefits those who do not know much about the field of inquiry, labi na if Kanisha is not familiar with your field, like I for one, no, I'm in the tourism industry, and those who would be reading my paper who are not part of the tourism industry would easily understand my paper, no, because it's clearly written, okay, and helps those looking for references. Labi na keywords, no, if you provide like clear or working title, when they look or when they type for certain keywords in Google Scholar, immediately your paper will come up because it's clear, no? Klaro siya pagkabuhat, no? And dili ka siya masabtan, dili po siya misleading. Next, proper grammar and capitalization. Okay? So the first letter of every word is capitalized except for some words, no? Dili man record nga tanan first word, no? We call this sentence case class. What are sentence cases? So this is a sentence case wherein the first letter of the word is capitalized, and then we call lowercase when wala na capital tanan, and then uppercase if na capital ni siya tanan. Okay? The first letter of every word is capital except for some words. So dili jud tanan. No, you have to be mindful if when is the right time to capitalize certain words or certain letters, and when is the right time nga lowercase jud siya. So, diri po ni ma-practice ato ang kuano. Mabitaw ni siya class ka tanan yung nakatunan sa ubang subjects like writing, no, like sa Filipino, um or sa kung sa UMS pa ni, no, like creative writing and all, English, everything that you have learned will be useful in research because dapat to for you to write a good research title, dapat maayo po kang mo gamit og coordinating conjunctions, prepositions, and even articles, no, when to use the, when to use okay. So, how do guidelines help researchers in writing a research title? There are certain steps into writing a research title class, no? And it's not just for a while class. Sorry, I had to pause. Okay, going back. So sorry. I just had to very quick emergency lang nga response to Dean, no, regards to this afternoon. So sorry. Let's go back, no. So how do guidelines help researchers, no, in writing a research title? There are some guidelines, especially for those who are not so good in writing, no. Labi na ka nang practice pa lang daan. So hopefully these guidelines will help you improve your writing title skills, no. So lahi po nang mag-write sa content, lahi po na mag-write sa title. So hopefully these guidelines will help those who are still new in writing the research title, labi na ka ng uban no nga didn't had an experience before because si leader lang ang naghimo sa title, no, and you want to know how. So hopefully kani makatabang sa inyo, even if you reach in college and you will start, writing another research paper. Okay, so the first step is to put the details of the research into segments. So i-segment na nimo na siya, 'di ba? Daghan man og different contents kinahanglanon imong research title, 'di ba? We already established that one earlier, wherein your title should have like clear objective, should have variables, should have the respondents and all. So you have to put these details in the different segments. You segregate them first, no? So the process of segmenting the details of the research study is helpful in determining and organizing important information. So you start first with your details. Details sa jud ta. First is you try to ask what is the primary objective of your research. So I would like man to know like I'm not just like a music student, but I'm really curious because I've read it somewhere that music helps in memorization. Like namang gani I know no some of you ambot lang ha kung you already tried this one, no? But ang uban na sila yung mga playlist sa Spotify nga nagani mo sa Spotify nga playlist nga intended for studying, no? For focusing, na uban gani pod nga kung dili ta ka afford og Spotify, no? Sa ano ta sa YouTube, no, na ay mga playlist dito nga that can help you focus for your exams, mag-study ka. So um you would like to know if it really helps improve in the memorization skills, no, of students. So that's your primary objective. Like I'm really curious, no, because these playlists have been popping up lately here and there, and I'm really curious if music can improve memorization skills. Not just any music, but classical music, no. Like you have Chopin, Mozart. I hope I pronounced that properly, no. Um, those kind of classical pieces, no, makatabang ba siya? So kana jud no dili lang jud kung ganahan gani ka i-compare ba jud nimo no experimental style jud no nga wherein you compare lo-fi mo sakto ba na siya nga kind I don't know if it's a genre lo-fi nga music o classical kung which is which ang better in helping memorization or you have like acoustic baro no asa ang much better nga makatabang sa kung ano kay Mozart ba kay Bach kay Baroque or kaning mga lo-fi nga kuan lang chill music naman yung mga ano nga kanang instrumental nga chill music, it's not classical but kanang kuan lang din siya no kanang mga upbeat pud siya gamay pero dili kay grabe ka upbeat nga pareha sa pop no. So pwede pud ka maging ana no depende na sa unsay imong gusto pero iya ha no dili man comparative iya ha, wala man siya compare og two variables to a dependent variable no. So ihara is classical music ra mo na siya og kanang correlational nga type of research no. So I'd like to know if ang classical music ba helps students in improving memorization skills. So mo na yung objective nimo, mo na ang first objective. So you already established the objective, you proceed with the variables. Okay, so sa variables class, you determine if asa dira si independent variable, asa dira si dependent. So ang independent variable nimo dira is of course ang classical music kay mo man na ang imuhang murag i manipulate or let's say imuhang i-present dira to change or to affect the dependent variable. So your independent variable is classical music, your dependent variable is memorization skills. Kay mo man imong i-measure to see if nag-improve ba or wala. 'Di ba? So once you already have your objectives and variables, you proceed to what methods will I be using in the study. So how will I measure my variables? Okay, I'll be performing an experiment. So that's the perfect method, no, because you're going to not isolate, but you're going to put your participants in an experiment, so they will be receiving same equal exams. The first student will try to study with classical music on, no, in their room, and then the other one will just, do it traditionally without music, and then memorize na siya. Ang factors dira, no, ang mga elements dira nga dili kaayo nato maklaro, which is maybe can also affect the findings, is also their style in, kasi tawag na kanang memorization style nila. Like para sa ako, no, I can easily memorize if I highlight words, certain important words, or if I write them down, and if I um you know read them aloud and challenge myself, like I ask someone to ask me questions and I memorize them. Napayuban nga lahi ilang method. So that could also be one of the things nga maka-affect, no, not just classical music. So anyway, going back. Um, laki ko naabtan, no. So you try to think unsa na pud imuhang method. So iya is experiment. No, experiment yang usa walay classical music nga paminaw, no, may memorize siya traditional way. Ang usa is with classical music. Okay? So you already have your details na, no. Na namang you divided them into segments na. Una, imong objectives. Second, imong variables. Third is your method. Followed by your respondents. Kay kinsa man, no, specific siya class kay kumayon ka dirag students, daghan magklase nga students sa kalibutan, nagagklase nga students sa San Carlos City. Kinsa specifically imuhang respondents. You have to really determine them in your title. No, para sa kuha, no, San Carlos City in Negros Occidental, specific jud kaayo. Dili San Carlos City sa Pangasinan, per sa Negros Occidental. So diri engineering students in XYZ University, because there are a lot of students in this university, so certain department ra akong kwaon. Okay? Once you already have the details, no, you already have all those details nga what we mentioned just a while ago, no, katong variables, objectives, methods, respondents, then make a list of keywords based on segments of the research details. So this one is really quite lengthy, di ba? Taas kaayo siya, no? I plan on performing our research. These are my variables. These are my objectives. Very long kaayo siya. So let's try to pick out only the essential keywords in each segments, no? In each kanisha. Okay, so for example, di ba, imong objective is classical music ba maka-help improve memorization? You pick out only keywords. First keyword, listening to classical music. Second, improving memorization. Because these are my variables, di ba? And these are also my objectives, because I would like to know if listening to classical music can improve memorization. So you have the variables already here, no? Listening to classical music, improving memorization. Next is the keyword, no, under your methods, which is experiment, no? Because you're only going to conduct an experiment in your research, and your variables, which are the engineering students from XYZ University. So, mo po siyang gi-shorten. Kato sentence form man to kanina, no? Tong step 1. Step 2, shorten them into keywords only. Okay, let's now proceed to step 3. Once you already have the keywords, mo nang gi-summarize tanan, gikuha mong essential keywords dito from the long sentences, you draft dayon a sentence that contain the keywords. First, in drafting sentences that contain the keywords, be mindful of the length of the sentence. You have to make sure di siya malapas og 12 or 16 words, no? So you can combine them into a sentence form, statement form, but make sure that they do not exceed the required number of words. Example, no, of a title that contains the keywords that we collected earlier. So, the study will conduct an experiment to test whether listening to classical music helps engineering students from XYZ University improve their memorization skills. That's a wordful, no? Very wordy kay siya. 23 words. Lapas pa gani sa, ano, sa required, no? Which is 12 to 15 to 16, no? So, lapas na siya. Let's try to revise them. As you progress, as you process your title, you revise, you enhance it so that it contains all the essential segments or elements, but it does not come off as too wordy, too long, too difficult to understand. Okay? So you can have a possible research title, no? Like an experimental research on the effects of classical music to the improvements of memorization skills of engineering students of XYZ University. So that's 21 words, no? Lapas ra Japon. Masking koan lang. Pilara. Let's opt for a more shorter title. Effects of classical music to the memorization skills of engineering students of XYZ University, colon, a research experiment. Okay, so see, no, this is far more shorter and much more clearer and more, kuan siya, mas appropriate siya sa study nimo. This one is much more shorter. Effects of classical music to the memorization skills of engineering students in XYZ University. So these are 14 words only. So okay po din siya, no? Ma'am, wala man na-appeal ang method. It's okay. You can just elaborate that further in your methodology, which contains your research design. Or, sa paman, pwede mo siya sa statement of the problem. Pero anyway, no, you can elaborate that in your methodology. Okay. So, let's have a bit of practice. I know I won't be receiving any immediate feedbacks from you all from this recording, but let's try to see, you try to practice this kind of exercise in your own, what do you call this, in your own ano lang, in your own homes, no? Okay, so let's try to identify possible errors in the following research titles. Try to see, if unsa ang sayop ani nila. I only have 3 titles here. Okay, let's start first with the first one. Business model trials. Second, parental support and its effects on students' academic achievement. Third, antifungal activities from leaf extract of jungle Geranium exora cochineal leaves against Candida albicans. I hope I read that correct. So I'll give you a few moments to try to read these 3 titles and try to see which, no, asa diri dapit na sayop, no, which part of the title has an error. Going back to the different characteristics, going back to the different steps in research, in writing a research title, I want you to try to identify asa diri ang nasayop. Okay? Asa diri ang may pagkukulang. So I'll give you a few moments to answer, although no, I can't hear you right now because it's a pre-recorded video, but please try to answer. No? Let's try to see if you got it right. Okay, so I do hope that you already have your answer, no? May tanlay siya nag-answer mo dira karon, no? Samtang ga-record ko diri. I cannot actually call you out individually right now, no? Because this is a recording. But I do hope some of you have participated in the activity, no? Even if recorded naman ni siya. So let's try to see if you got the correct answer, no? Um, First is business model trials. As you can see, class, it's incomplete, no? 'Di ba? Kulang ra siya, like, unsa man about business model trials? Like, what are you trying to study about? 'Di ba? No? Unsa man jud, dili ko kuan, di ko ka-figure out, no? So it lacks in detail, no? Maybe it would like to study about business model trials, but it lacks like the variables baron, um the objectives were not clearly stated, even the respondents, no, are not here, and even the methods of the experiment, no, methods of the study, so it's really incomplete. How about on the second title? It has almost a complete title, di ba class, no? Kompleto na, hapit na jud, pero unsa ang kulang niya is, yes, no, the respondents, no. Kinsa nga estudyante specifically, mo jud ni siya. It lacks a specific detail such as kinsa man jud ang estudyante nga kwaon as respondents. Kinsa man jud ang asa siya nga university kwaon. So mo na ang kulang, no? The respondents, the locality, or asa siya, um, although, ma'am, wala pod siya kuan, ma'am, method o sakto pod, no, na may uban nga pwede ta kabutang dira og method, pwede man wala, no. Basta as long as the essential parts like the variables, the objectives, and even the respondents are there. Okay. Next one is the third one. So antifungal activities from leaf extract, no, against candida. So i-compare siya, no. It lacks the method. If the focus, this one is the focus mong good. If you say, ma'am, it has jargons in it and it's difficult to understand, that is true, no, that could be one error. But if this is the center or the focus of the study class, another thing that lacks here or is missing here is methods as well, no, an experimental study on the antifungal activities from leaf extracts of jungle geranium exora coquinia leaves. Oh, that's worthy, no? Against candida albicans, pwede po na siya. If sentro man kani siya, then why not, no? It lacks the method, or pwede po, no, too much jargons. Okay, quick check before you will end. Based on your understanding, how do you define a research title? I'll give you a few moments to think about your response. Okay, so I do hope you already have your answer, no? Um, So, if you got it right, no, the definition of a research title is, again, no, very simple, very short. It summarizes and it encapsulates the content of your study. No, it provides uh, a, an idea what your study is all about. Okay. So I'll proceed to the second one. How do research titles impact the whole research? How do research titles, sorry, medyo sakit akong hipon right now, no? How do research titles impact the whole research? Okay, I'll give you a few moments to answer. Okay, so your research title impacts the whole research by not only setting the course in your study, but again, it helps summarizes very similar, no, provides an idea to your readers what your study is all about, no. So very kuan ra. It consists of essential information. I have also here, no. It consists of essential information keywords that summarizes the research content. Okay, like what I said, no, it's important because it helps the readers know what the study is all about. Okay, so let's have an activity to try to see if you know already how to write your research title, which is you already had the experience a while ago, no? And even during our exam and previously pa, no, pinakauna nga step na to when you started your research paper. Okay, let's have a quick check if you were able to still retain and if you were able to understand our discussion a while ago. So, Harry wants to research the effects of multiple online battle arena games to the focus of adolescent students diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD. What could be the possible title of this research? Harry wants to research the effects of multiple online battle arena games to the focus of adolescent students diagnosed with ADHD. What could be the possible title of this research? Again, when you draft your research title in your scratch paper right now, I would like you to also spell out how we do not abbreviate in making our research title. Okay, I'll give you I'll give you siguro mga 5 minutes to draft in your own scratch paper. And let's see if you have similar, hindi man siya dingon nga identical, no, but similar answers to mine. Okay, so I hope you're already done with your research title. Let us try to see if you got it right. So again, no, Harry wants to research on the effects of multiple online battle arena games to the focus of adolescent students diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD. What could be the possible title of this research? Let's start first with dividing them into different segments. First is what is the objective. So, mani objective naman, no? Naan siya mo study ani. And then, ang variables niya kay um, multiple online battle arena and focus of adults and students with ADHD. Okay, focus of those students diagnosed with ADHD. Yang respondents are adolescent students. No, wala lang siya specify asa nga school. So the title could be, I sorry. Title could be the research on the effects of multiple online battle arena or MOBA games to the focus of adolescent students with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder ADHD. Okay, why did we put the abbreviation in the title with the parentheses so that mamani siyang rules sa research class. No, we spell it out first so that we can abbreviate it in the as we progress in writing the research paper. Like, for example, musulat natin sa introduction, statement of the problem, RRL. Since we already spell out MOBA and ADHD in the previous parts of the research paper, pwede na to siya i-abbreviate. Sa title, dili pwede mag-abbreviate, pero at least in the content of your research paper, pwede siya as long as naka-spell out na siya previously. Para sa nagod nga, it's too wordy to always spell out Colegio de Santa Rita. So we provide like parenthesis with CSR as you see there so that in the next time that we mention Colegio de Santa Rita, we can just abbreviate it. Pwede po the effects of multiple online battle arena or MOBA games to the focus of adolescent students with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD. Naapod siya diri third um probable title is Multiple Online Battle Arena or MOBA Games and its effects on the focus of adolescent students diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD. Okay, and that is it. I do hope that your answer is similar to the examples that I provided just now. Okay, let's now proceed. To wrap it all up, no, before we'll end, a research title provides a summary of the whole scope of the research in a few words. A well-written research title has the following characteristics. First, it's focused and direct. It's formal, brief but substantial, clear and proper grammar and capitalization. Sorry. Researchers can follow the general guidelines in writing the research title, such as having a finalized topic, an initial list of sources, and an outline. What are the do's and don'ts in writing a well structured title? It's okay, saba kayo mong iro class. Okay, the do's are introduces the content, contains the keywords and variables, captures readers' interest, focus and direct, formal, brief, clear, proper grammar, and capitalization. The don'ts in research in writing a research title is lengthy sentences, use of jargon, use of unnecessary words. It's vague, improper grammar, and wrong capitalization. And when we abbreviate and use slang words. And that ends my discussion for this afternoon for the Unit 2, Lesson 2, which is writing a research title. So I do hope that you'll be able to understand what I have discussed this afternoon and you'll be able to listen in the entire discussion, even though this is only a recorded session. Okay? So thank you so much once again, students, for listening, and good luck in your um finals exam. But or PETA, sorry, your PETA. Hopefully you'll be able to submit your complete chapter 1 from research title to definition of terms, complete with your um reference list. So kumpletuhan siya tanan class no on December 11. No more na extensions no, kay you already have like almost 3 weeks of writing a statement of the problem to definition of terms. So that's too much na nga time already. Okay? So thank you so much, everyone. Hope to see you again soon. And goodbye, everyone.